Jeremy Corbyn was urged to expel Labour members for using the party's conference stage to make vile anti-Semitic slurs. One such delegate called for the party's Jewish wing to be kicked out for backing the apartheid state of Israel. And another member, Naomi Wimborne Idrissi, accused a prominent Jewish Labour member of colluding with media organisations to undermine the party. Demanding her expulsion, Jeremy Newmark, the chairman of the Jewish Labour Movement, JLM, said this accusation was a clear anti-Semitic trope. His call was echoed by MPs. Mr. Corbyn also faced pressure from his deputy Tom Watson, who said of anti-Semites, "We don't want them in the party." And the Equalities Watchdog said Labour needed to root out anti-Semitic views that clearly exist in the party. On Monday, Ms. Wimborne Idrissi chaired a controversial fringe event that sparked off the anti-Semitism row. At the meeting, Speaker Miko Pelate claimed boycotting Israel is just it and said it was a matter of free speech to question the Holocaust. Mr. Pelate, an Israeli-American activist, has repeatedly faced allegations of anti-Semitism and has openly supported terror group Hamas. Last month he claimed that the Zionist lobby wanted to get rid of Mr. Corbyn over his support for Palestine. Yesterday an unrepentant Ms. Wimborne Idrissi told the Mail, "What's happening in the Labour Party is that people who support Mr. Pelate have actually been denied the right to participate in the democratic process of the party. We don't accept that anti-Semitism should be used as an allegation against people even if they have very vociferous criticisms of Israel. We can't tolerate the view that if you're Jewish and you support Israel you have a veto on what is said." She added that Mr. Pelate's comments about the Holocaust were just a case of someone shooting their mouth off, and it was inappropriate to focus on the remark. The row exploded onto the conference yesterday as 96% of delegates voted in favor of new rules that change the conditions of membership to explicitly state that prejudicial conduct includes anti-Semitism. The new wording was backed by Mr. Corbyn, Momentum and the JLM. The JLM's vice-chairman Mike Katz told delegates that Labour members found questioning the Holocaust should be kicked out on their ear. However, Ms. Wimborne Idrissi was applauded after she said Mr. Katz would have a bit more credibility if the JLM didn't spend so much of its time running to newspapers with stories. She also spoke out against a reference to holding beliefs in the new definition, saying, "Obviously if you express hateful opinions, you've got to be disciplined, but holding them, that's thought crime." Sarah Callaway, a delegate from North London, said the new definition could prevent people from speaking up for Palestinian people. She backed calls for the JLM to be expelled, saying, "We can't be a party that has groups that support an apartheid state, wherever that apartheid state is." Last night Labour MP Ruth Smeeth, who has faced anti-Semitic abuse, called for the expulsion of Ms. Wimborne Idrissi and Ms. Callaway. And Mr. Katz said, "The purpose of our rule change was to close off a loophole, which says holding a sincerely held belief makes hate speech okay. There is nothing wrong about legitimate criticism of the Israeli government or illegal settlements, but you don't need to use anti-Semitic language and stereotypes to engage in that debate." Speaking at a later event, Mr. Newmark also called for action to be taken against Ms. Wimborne Idrissi. "What is the point of having new rules on anti-Semitism if a delegate who chaired a fringe meeting calling for the expulsion of the JLM is given a stage at the party conference?" he asked. "If Labour is committed to an atmosphere of zero tolerance of anti-Semitism, we expect Acti 0N against that delegate." Last night he said he was still awaiting an answer from Labour about whether Ms. Wimborne Idrissi would be expelled. It came after the JLM chairman was accused by Trotskyists of being a hard-right racist Zionist. In a newsletter handed out at the conference, The liaison committee for the Fourth International Group also said that Jewish people were not the victims of anti-Semitism from the left. In an interview yesterday, Mr. Corbyn said that the use of anti-Semitic language was completely at odds with the beliefs of the party, adding, "This is not a nasty party. Nobody should be abused, whoever they are. We have just passed a motion on racism and anti-Semitism which is comprehensive and inclusive and is supported by all wings of the party." Mr. Watsoni also said the party's conference organizing committee would investigate how Mr. Palate had been given a seat at the Fringe event. "It is disgusting to deny the Holocaust," he said. "These people are cranks and we certainly don't want them in the Labour Party." Mr. Palate declined to comment. The chief of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, Rebecca Hilsenrath, said, "Anti-Semitism is racism and the Labour Party needs to do more to establish that it is not a racist party." These comments by party members show more needs to be done to root out anti-Semitic views that clearly exist in the party. Any suggestion of kicking people out of any political party on the grounds of race or religion should be condemned.